We had to go.
I know.
We had to go to the break. Can we just very quickly just see Prince George?
We just wanted to see Prince George. Absolutely gorgeous father. Happy birthday, Prince George.
Don't you?
I think it's really touching.
A lovely sentiment.
I love her photos of him too.
Yeah,
they're really.
She's very good. Very, very good.
Thank you so much.
No,
thank you, Becca.
As ever.
See you later.
And you're going to get lots of angry Liverpudlians.
No, I love. My point is, I think Liverpool will thrive without UNESCO World Heritage Site status. I don't think it matters that much to the city. I think it's a great city. I think people go there irrespective of the fact
they do,
it's a
but it's a
UNESCO
shame that it's been taken away. Anyway, more
Get
on
in
that.
touch if you're from Liverpool.
Yeah, if you dare.
Indeed, if you dare. gbviews@gbnews.uk. We'll read them out.
Yes.
Even if you're having a go at me.
Right. The government will miss its target to make England smoke-free by 2030. More on that next.
On this Thursday morning, it is coming up to 20 minutes to 7 a.m. Now, illegal migrants are being packed like sardines into dangerous inflatable boats by people smugglers to cross the English Channel. That's according to the police down in terms of the number of people being packed in is partly due to the fact that smugglers are now using bigger boats. However, many were the same size as the vessels used last year. Well, let's go to Anaya Florin Iman, who is live for us this morning in Dover at the more about this and questioning why tens of millions of pounds are being sent from Britain to France when the French, frankly, don't seem to be doing very much. Though, as Nigel Farage was pointing out in his programme last night, you know, we do also have to have an element of perspective in this, that even 8,000, and that's what we've seen so far, refugees arriving or migrants arriving into Britain, is a relatively small number in the grand scheme of migration that we see, but it is illegal migration to a large degree, and also, of course, it is kind of visually quite troubling, particularly for people down in Kent, when they see these images of people arriving on boats. Frankly, also, of course, risking their lives, having been
between children looking and seeing their parents or whoever they look up to smoking, they're more likely to take on that habit, surely.
No, but
they do.
But that's true of
so
lots
it can't be good, can it?
Yeah, but that's true of lots of addictive things. All I would say is that lots of people still enjoy smoking, and largely it is a free choice, that they're aware that it impacts their health. And when you don't smoke indoors these days, the idea that it kind of has an impact on others is a bit less reduced, I would suggest.
OK. OK. A new parliamentary...
that was very much like, let's move on.
Yeah, let's... Now, a new parliamentary inquiry has decided that sports concussion policies across the board need a rethink. Once again, it's under the spotlight. More on that next, but first, a bit of something for Darren, the weather.
Like indeed.
Now, the government will soon tell sports how long players will need to take off for concussion injuries. A new, sadly, long-term, sometimes brain injuries like dementia, and we're seeing it sort of the effects of how... you know, the impact, head impact injuries like concussion are having on people later on after they've retired, etc. So, and not just in rugby, obviously, football, we've seen boxing, it in the NFL, boxing, etc. So. And
then the thing is that obviously people stop playing rugby really quite young as well. So this is over potentially a very sustained period of time.
Yeah, so it's definitely, it's good that it's under the spotlight again. It's good that something is going to be happening. But as I said, James Haskell joining us in just over an hour, so we'll discuss it in depth with him. This morning, we're also wondering whether you've experienced the pingdemic in supermarkets. Have you seen the empty shelves already? I mean, it harks back to no loo roll, doesn't it, a year ago, etc.
Indeed,
and no food.
But more, more. We must overemphasise this is only in a limited number of stores. It's not nationwide, but the concern is that it could well do so, given the fact that more supermarkets are more concerned that more of their staff potentially could be pinged in the weeks ahead as infection rates continue to rise. Well, Francine has been in touch, said that they went to the local Tesco yesterday and all the shelves were fully
oh, that's good.
Fully stocked, and the staff were everywhere. So I have to say, I mean, I was in my local supermarket yesterday, and again, the shelves were stacked. But as we're saying, it's obviously affecting different parts of the country where different infection rates are higher. That's and people are being pinged in different directions.
Whereas, as I said earlier, I experienced not a lot of stock in a supermarket a few days ago, actually. So, okay. Yeah. Peter says, I think people are abusing this being able to be off, he says, especially if they get paid sick. OK.
Yeah, I think this idea, essentially, that a lot of people
Yeah, as you said, are enjoying the time in the garden. Was that?
Yeah, well, I mean, frankly, if you're going to be, pinged and you have to take time off work on full pay, and you've got a garden or whatever, and you can sit in the back and have a few beers in the sunshine and read a book, it's not the worst thing in the world, is it?
It's not the worst thing. It's not right, is it, quite frankly? When,
no.
We need to get back on our feet.
And the thing is, we're focusing, of course, on supermarkets, but this is something that's having an impact. We were talking about on hospitals in Wales yesterday, potential on the police too. We've got stinky rubbish
I think that
building
the
up in
fact is,
cities.
it's a serious problem. It's a serious problem, this pandemic, because it is affecting lots of areas of our life where we will be, as soon as we come out of lockdown, end up basically not being able to do anything, not being able to go anywhere, our hands will be tied. So
much for Freedom Day. Do get in touch with us. You know the email address by now.
Yeah.
gbviews@gbnews.uk. Tweet us at gbnews either as well. Coming up to 7 a.m. rather.
Supermarkets, the latest victim as staffing levels plummet, empty shelves become a familiar sight. Once again, that's thanks to the self-isolating rules. There are also concerns that police response times could be affected with so many members of staff off work, and dozens of councils have been forced to suspend their bin collections.
Yeah, pretty serious story this morning talking about that. Also, NHS workers in England will be getting a 3% pay rise because the government claim the unique impact of the pandemic on staff. But some health unions say it is not enough, with staff in Scotland getting 4%. We want to hear from you, particularly, of course, if you work in the National Health Service.
Yeah, good news in the fight against COVID-19 at last. Around 9 in 10 adults in the UK are likely to have antibodies.
Police say illegal migrants are being packed like sod as the crisis gets worse each day. The Times report seems that smugglers are using bigger boats. We're back in Dover all morning with the latest on that.
And as we were discussing earlier, concussion in sport, it's under the spotlight once again, quite rightly, as a new report says that the industry cannot be left to mark their own homework. Should we be doing more to keep our athletes safe, our children safe as well, when they're playing sport like that at school, like rugby, football, whatever? We'll be speaking to England rugby legend James Haskell in the next hour to get more on that subject.
Very good morning. Welcome to the programme. Thank you for your company on this Thursday morning. Well, it's been hailed, and they've been hailed as the heroes, of course, of the past 12 months. Now, NHS staff in England have been given the welcome news that they're going to receive a 3% pay increase. Well, the problem is they don't necessarily view it as very welcome. They think it is still too low. It follows a day of confusion that ended with an announcement that the government had accepted recommendations from the pay review body. Well,
announcing the pay rates are quickly becoming the latest victim of the pingdemic as staffing levels plummet due to the self-isolating rules. Well, yes, countless bin bags. I mean,
nice.
it's a health risk as well. So it's another health risk. It's not good.
I do not like stinky bins.
No one does, I don't think.
Have you witnessed any things like this, empty shelves in your local supermarkets in recent days? We want you to get in touch. Also, what do you think? Should retail staff be considered key workers exempt from isolating? You know the email address by now, gbviews@gbnews.uk. Or, of course, you can tweet us at gbnews. Let us know whether you potentially also have deleted this NHS Test and Trace app, or indeed whether actually, because this advice or the having to have followed the NHS app is advisory, it's not actually the law. And there was a big debate, of course, wasn't there, within government about whether people had to follow that advice. The government do want you to follow the advice, but at the end of the day, it is also up to yourself whether you do or not.
Well, it is affecting all sectors, unfortunately, as we've just told you there. Richard Wilding is a professor at Cranfield University. Good morning to you, Richard.
Go on holiday, there were also a lot of people who are going off to see relatives or loved ones or friends that they may not have seen in 18 months to 2 years, and that's really important as well. Lisa, Francesca, Nan, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Really appreciate your time.
Enjoy Spain.
Indeed, very jealous. Very jealous on the great
Not
British
one
practice.
bit jealous. Thank you very much. Now, a new parliamentary inquiry has decided that sports concussion policies across the board need a rethink. More on that next.
In the fight against COVID-19, because around 9 in 10 adults in the UK are now likely to have antibodies. That's according to the latest estimates from the Office for National Statistics. Wales tops the leaderboard, though, with 93%, while Scotland has nearly 87%. In England, it's at 92%. It takes at least 2 weeks after infection or vaccination for the body to make enough antibodies to fight the virus.
The number of 60-year-olds hospitalised with COVID-19 in Scotland has more than tripled this month. Coming up, our head of digital will run us through some of your comments of the ping-demic next. But first, the all-important weather for you. We'll see in a minute.
Hello.
Have you come across empty shelves, as it's being reported in some places? Well, you've been getting in touch, and this is what you've had to say, isn't it, Rebecca? Because, yeah, people are experiencing quite different things.
Yeah,
actually.
yes, there's definitely goods.
I love my supermarket.
Yeah, you did.
Weather and supermarkets. my forte. Not mine.
I'm a fascinating character.
Really? What, from the type?
Yeah, from the site.
What would have been in those?
Well, I mean, that's clearly frozen food.
Well, yeah, which frozen foods?
Which, yeah.
I want to suggest fish fingers, maybe. Fish fingers? I don't know. Anyway, sorry, carry on,
Jackie says that my supermarket's told me that's due to a lack of lorry drivers, which again would be due to...
Then there is the ping-demic.
The ping-demic. Vanessa, however, says that the 3 big supermarkets near her have all been fully stocked, which is obviously great to hear. So again, not kind of
Isolate for 5 days and you've got a nice garden and the weather's nice. 5 days off work, sitting in the back garden sounds jolly nice, no?
You don't think people are pretending to be pinged by the app? You think they are being pinged and then they are
I wouldn't like
following
to go
it
that far, but...
Well, I think that's what Mark was suggesting.
But it's really interesting that it's not just, obviously, the test and trace stuff that's having an impact. There's other factors we can talk about as well, particularly on lorry drivers, for example. We know there are not enough HGV drivers. Yeah. We know many of them have not been able to get their licence in recent months because there's a backlog in terms of people doing their test. And apparently the floods in Germany have also had an impact on supply chains as well because drivers have had to reroute. So when you add all that together... But the big question this morning is, what's the government doing about this? How long can this carry on for? Can it get worse? Almost certainly.
Do you think that the fact that all the supply chains are now...
cause major hazards?
Yeah.
If we see that, it's not helpful.
No, not at all. I mean,
to our daily life.
No, not at all. I think the iFront page said it best, didn't they? They said we've gone from lockdown to shutdown.
Well, no,
kind of where it feels like we're getting to.
But as Lord Grimstone said on Tuesday, which he then got slapped down by Downing Street over, like just reminding employers and businesses that this is advisory, and ultimately, wouldn't it be more sensible if Tesco or Sainsbury's or whoever it is, Iceland, turned around and said to the employees, I know you've been pinged, do a test. If it's negative, you still have to come into work.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's against... I mean, I have to emphasise that is against the government advice, but it is not, frankly, against the law. No. And maybe if the government's not going to do anything about this, maybe that's what businesses are going to have to go and do.
But it's difficult for employers as well to know what the right thing to do is. As you said, yes, they can take that advice, but some people will go, oh, no, you've got to self-isolate for however long.
You want to protect yourself.
This morning. Really interesting stuff, actually.
Very much
and as you say, in many ways, with the NHS, considering the burden that it's under, considering the staff who have to put up with so much, 3% pay rises are never really going to be enough. That kind of big fundamental question about asking what the future of the National Health Service is going to look like with an older population, it does frankly need to be had.
No, it does. And also, don't forget to get your views in. I'm sure you have an opinion on this at GB News. Right, let's have a look at what else is going on today.
I am a bit jealous.
Yes.
People have been spending an awful lot of time, clearly, at home.
Yeah.
And staycations are all very well and good, but you can't beat, I don't know, a glass of white wine in Tuscany or, lying on the beach in Spain.
Lovely thoughts. But also it is those that have not seen their family or family, friends, whatever, in other parts of Europe or the world as well. So it's been very tough. So it's not just going for pleasure. It's actually, they haven't connected with people.
And the weather's at least good here for another day. We saw record-breaking temperatures in Northern Ireland again yesterday. We're looking at, over 30 degrees in many parts of the country again today. So get out and enjoy it while you can. But first, let's go up to Yorkshire because people living in part of Leeds, known as Britain's only red light zone, have met last night to discuss how to tackle the problems they're facing around prostitution. Our Humber and Yorkshire reporter Kevin Larkin joins us now from Holbeck. Very good morning to you, Kevin. Just give us some context on this story first of all, because this is a kind of, is it a pilot scheme or very specific to this part of Leeds